Hello and welcome to our first episode. That was a nice bow.
Hey, thanks.
A seated bow. So this is the first episode of No Answers Yet. We have actually, this is our second attempt because the first one didn't sound good. And by that we mean you couldn't hear it at all. Similar to the promo, for those of you who watched that. When I say watched, I mean strictly watched.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't really
I
hear
could
it.
hear a little bit, but it was just like...
Not much.
Very
Smidge.
smidge.
Yeah, smidge. So we're redoing it. So this is the first episode.
Episode 1. Don't confuse us with Star Wars, though. Episode 1.
We move Terry.
Yeah, don't
This is Terry Rozier, and he's our
He's a guardian
he's our
angel.
resident ball player
Yeah, sure.
because we're not ballers.
I am.
Again, we're not ballers.
Okay, all right.
Terry here,
Yeah.
he's a pro.
Terry
You,
is.
you might have heard of him in the news.
Yeah, you
He plays
have.
for the Celts,
He does.
and
Draining
not to
those
brag or
sleeves.
anything. You've probably never seen a picture of him before, but he's a bird.
He's a beast.
He's a bird. So, starting us off. Sorry to hit the table there, Tyler. Starting us off, we're going to go into more detail about what we talked about in the promo. So, why are we here? How did we meet? A little more detail about that. And really what's gonna be going forward, what this podcast is going to be. So, number one, let's talk about, I guess, how we met.
Where it all began.
Where it all began. So we were at a restaurant together. We worked there for about 8 months,
Yep, 8 months.
and we floated the idea of a podcast together, or really just a podcast in general. And I wanted to be on board because Kiko here's got a very contagious personality. Don't
Thanks, buddy.
you awed
Appreciate
before I
that.
finished the compliment.
Oh, because I just know
I
where
just
you're
wanna,
going
like,
with it.
okay,
I appreciate it.
you did. You heard that right. Rewind it and just listen. He goes, "Oh," and I was like I'm continuing to. Come on.
Sorry, man.
All right, compliment me.
You're so
Oh my
Oh,
God!
can
Stop
I
it.
finish?
That's
Oh, sorry.
precious. Oh man, you're too much. Really,
I know.
I get it all the time.
That's what they all tell me.
So I decided I wanted to be a part of it, and here we are. And so then we started meeting at Dunkin' Donuts. Shout out to Dunks.
Dunky Dunks.
Please sponsor us. Please just give us money.
Give us those nice coffees.
We don't have any money.
Yeah, buddy.
Huh?
We have some money.
Why are you flexing on people? Like we have zero money. We are broke.
Okay, I'm done.
He's making a confused face. I can't tell if that's at me or him. Like, he's gonna unmute himself. Oh, he's joining in.
Oh, joining
joining in the
English
conversation.
is joining in.
Didn't you just complain about $12 for Domino's?
That is very true.
Whoa!
That's very true.
Listen, okay, so my defense is, this is how I stay rich. Okay, I'm stingy with my money.
That's not
Okay,
okay. That's fair. That's the way. That's
$12 is a lot of money for a small chicken parm, and
Okay, but you
Well,
also
it's not
got lava
small.
cakes
like
and a soda.
3 little pieces of a lava cake.
two little pieces of
Okay,
actually.
3 little pieces of a lava cake. All right.
This guy.
Well, no, there's 2 pieces, but it was cut into pieces, and you guys each got 3 pieces.
Right.
I was nice. I only got 2 pieces, so just saying.
Aw,
Aw, that's why we love him so much, because he's a giver, not a taker.
that's why we hired him, because he's a giver and
Yeah.
not a taker. 'Cause
He is.
we don't have money. So anyway, we decided to do this podcast together. We started meeting at Dunks. We got him on board by the 3rd meeting.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh yeah, because that'd be great because we need somebody who knows what they're doing. Funny enough, he doesn't know what he's doing, but now he's great at it.
He is.
He's been like learning a lot, same as us. We started from the bottom.
Now
and
we're here.
We're still here.
We're
Like we're still at the bottom, but we're
gonna get
we're
there.
showing promise.
We
of
are.
eventually not being at the bottom. We're gonna be at the top eventually. I think so.
I think we
so.
will.
We
I
think
know
so.
we will.
Yeah,
I
like
know
that.
we will.
That's a good vibe. I like
That's
that.
right.
We're gonna keep
That's
that.
what we're here at.
We're gonna
No
keep that
answers.
energy. We're gonna keep that energy.
Got that
okay.
energy going?
Great. So
Good vibes.
Good vibes.
Good
yeah,
feelings?
absolutely. So
Here we go.
English here learned some things.
He did.
Have we introduced English yet?
We have
haven't
not.
introduced ourselves yet. I'm Trey, by the way. Yikes. We're how far? 5 minutes in.
I'm Kiko, by
Get
the
to
way.
know us.
You probably
Get to
know
know
me
us.
already.
Ki-
You know.
You know him as the oh my gosh.
That's right.
That's that guy. Kiko here, Trey, and we got Tyler English back there.
Beautiful man.
I'm pretty sure I nailed his name
You did.
correctly. Cool.
Shout out.
Shout out to English. The English family.
Yeah.
A famous surname, if ever there was one. So he got on board and he learned like rapidly how to help us out here. And so we learned a lot about what we needed for lights and sound. We're still learning there. And stuff like that. And we also learned about decoration.
Yeah. Terry's a boy, though.
Could have had a flower. Decided on a bird.
Son of justice, man. He represents justice
And freedom.
freedom, and liberty for
And
all.
boy, is he regal.
Yes, he is.
Look at him. He's metal, too. That's another thing. I didn't even know this. That's metal.
That's metal, folks.
Not wood.
Metal, not wood.
Metal.
He was carved by angels.
What this country was built on, dare I say.
Hard
Was it
work and
built on
sweat.
metal? I don't know. He's not sweaty. He's just metal.
Okay.
So we started building from there, and now we're here, and yeah. So that's
we're here to give good news. We're here
right. So yeah,
we're here to help people. We're
Right.
here to make a difference in people's life. We're here to inspire people, bring positive vibes. No bad stuff here. No answers. No negativity.
Right.
All good things. Laughter, enjoyment, and just a great time.
absolutely.
That's what
We want you to have
talking
fun. Like we at the end of the day, we want you to come away from listening to us with a smile. We want you to make you feel good
about. Yeah,
because you make us feel good.
you do.
Single listener, mom, we want. That's our goal, really, is to make a positive impact.
No, we are. It is.
Because it's so easy to make an impact that we want to, really own in on
Good thing.
being good
Mhm.
with our impact.
Mhm.
Wow, that was eloquent.
That was.
Oh man, that could have been said really way worse, but I nailed it.
You did.
I
Great
just got
job.
away with words.
High five,
Wordsmith.
buddy.
There it is.
Here we
Didn't
go.
even look because I can see myself.
That's right. We just hear ourselves.
So
Dang,
that's
we're
also
good.
new because English here learned
Yeah,
that.
that's another thing.
We have a new camera and we can see
We do.
ourselves, and it's
High tech over here at No Answers.
kind of mesmerizing. That's probably why I've been looking off here. I usually look at the camera a little more. I'm gonna try and do that. I'm trying to look at myself. I just realized that I am. I'm very pretty. So,
Hey.
so,
Oh gosh, man, flatter yourself all day now.
so anyway, moving on. As we said, we want to be a positive impact. We want you to feel good. We want us to feel good.
we
and
want
wanna
them
feel
to
good.
be a part of it too, as well.
Yeah, so we were to interact as well.
Mhm.
So yes, we're gonna have live episodes where you'll be able to message us and or hopefully one day call.
We're working on that next.
We're working on that. So you'll be able to come in and actually be here with us technically in a way, with your voices. So we'd love to hear from you, and so that's coming in the future, in the near future. Yeah. So let's go into the segments that we're gonna have on our show.
Let's do it.
So this is an interesting thing, is that we don't have very many segments
Yeah.
planned yet. So
yeah.
because it's a little tricky. It's hard.
We're
It's harder than
learning.
you think. Yeah. But right now we do have one that we're pretty proud of, and so we're gonna call it the good news segment,
Mhm.
and it's gonna be basically, the good stuff that's happened in the world, the good stuff that's happened nationally, and then the good stuff in entertainment, sports, etc. And then we're gonna end that with, as we said, the interactive portion where you can call in or write in or whatever we have, and you can tell us some good stuff that's happening with you, and if you got bad stuff, what are you what outlook do you have, what are you going to be doing to help yourself fix it, what can we do for you,
Right.
etc. What positive way are you attacking that problem, so that at the end of the day, even your problems, you kind of can have a good feeling about it. And that's the hope. And it's a little naive, but we like that. So that we're gonna go into that real quick. So the good news segment, world news, is not something we're very well versed on at this moment,
No, it's not.
especially not the positive stuff. So we're gonna lightly gloss over that. And head into entertainment news. So J. Cole just released a new
He
album.
did. New album.
KOD, and I've only gotten a chance to listen to it once, and I think I like it a lot.
Do you know?
I just need to give it another listen. But I think I like it a lot. There are a couple tracks on there that I really, really enjoy, but I like to give albums multiple passes through before I can really
Makes sense.
give it
Yeah.
give a good judgment on. But what do you think?
It's all right. Listen to a couple songs. I didn't, not too much. I'm not really a huge J. Cole fan. So,
Okay.
but,
Have you always kind of not really felt him?
yeah, just There's
Yeah.
like a couple songs here and there, maybe, but for the most part, not really.
I feel that. So, but yeah, that's exciting. And we also have a Kanye projects coming up soon this summer. He's doing a lot of stuff this summer. He's going to be his own album. He's going to have an album with Travis Scott.
I believe so.
I think that's
don't
right.
know.
That's going to be cool. So it's good to hear from Kanye because it's been
Well, we've heard from Kanye. Don't you
it's
worry.
been like 2 years, I think, since he's released the project.
It's been a while.
It's been a
He's
while.
busy with the missus.
With the missus, yeah.
That's right.
So,
She'll keep him busy.
yeah. So then we have also some good movies coming out. We got Infinity War.
Oh my gosh.
Excited about that. If you've not been keeping up with that,
Iron
you
Man.
probably have a girlfriend. Then
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite like superhero? Out of the-
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man?
done like hands down.
Really?
Yeah, I've always been a Spider-Man fan. So when I was young, I tried to get into comics, which was a weird thing to
Yeah, comic books.
want to do. Yeah, so like because I just thought it was a cool.
Because everyone did it as a kid. Everyone was reading comic
Well,
books.
actually, in the South, where I'm from, is it was not.
Really?
Nobody was doing it. Like
Up
it was
here, it's a
always.
big thing.
It was
People
weird.
love
Like it was the
comic
weird
books.
kids who read comics. And so but I was always kind of that kid, like the contrarian kid. Like I wanted to be different. I remember like we don't really have hockey in Alabama,
No.
but
Yeah.
whenever people would ask, the two big teams were Auburn and Alabama, and they would
love
ask
the
like,
college football down there.
oh yeah, they don't care about NFL at all.
Nope.
But they would ask like, "Are you Auburn, Alabama?" And I would go, "I watch hockey," which I still to this day I've never seen hockey. I've never seen a single game of hockey. I don't know anything about it. I know that there's fights and there's ice.
There are.
Yeah, that's all I got. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. There's ice.
There is ice.
There you go. So I know a lot about hockey. It's no big deal. So, but like that's the kind of kid I was. I was just kind of annoying and like I wanted to be different. And so
There's nothing wrong with that.
comics, there's a little bit wrong with it. So comics was one of the avenues that I chose to go through with that. So I tried reading them. My mom actually got me this like huge collection of Spider-Man because I think had I seen the original Tobey Maguire. When did that movie come out? 2001? It was a minute
I would
ago.
say was it early 2000s?
Yeah. It's possible I'd seen it already, and that's why I had any interest in him at all. Or it's just one she picked.
Yeah.
But in any case, I remember like I just specifically like Spider-Man, and I read this comic collection, and I got maybe 3 comics in, and I was like, this sucks. It's just so boring. Like I don't know. Like I mean, power to you if you like them. I just can't do it. It's just not my medium, man. So
Comic books are different.
yeah, but it is the only superhero that I have read multiple comics of.
3.
So Spider-Man has always been kind of like my guy, and I watched all the movies except for 3 of the original Spider-Mans, which I've heard was a good choice.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire
Wise.
is interesting. Spider-Man.
Not great.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Like
I don't want to say that.
at the
but-
time, like when he came out, I remember it being amazing, and 2 was dope because Doc Ock was like sick.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
So, like, I distinctly remember liking it, and then I got kind of a taste of what a good Spider-Man is, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
yeah.
not so much on him.
No.
And then this new guy, Tom Holland,
Yeah.
I think he's the best. He's so good because I always tell, like, I mean, like, there's been talk about this before, but like, Tobey Maguire was the perfect Peter Parker. He's very like meek and like
Nerdy. Just very, yeah. He
But as
was.
Spider-Man, he was not good at it because like
No.
Spider-Man's quippy, he's funny, he's annoying, and he's very kind of like like he's got
Yeah.
that energy. And like Tobey Maguire is not really great at that. I think what did he say? Heat the change. He said in the first movie, and it was like even as a kid, I was like, no, not funny.
The other Spider-Man was good though.
But then okay, see then
the other
Andrew
kid-
Garfield.
Yes, that's his name. Yes.
He was the perfect Spider-Man
Yes.
and sucked as Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Because like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
when they did his origin story, which I'm so glad they didn't do that with
Yeah.
Holland, where they were just like, yeah, Uncle Ben's dead. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about
Like-
Uncle Ben. Poor Uncle Ben. God bless him.
Oh, God. So when they did his origin story, like he's the nerdy teenager, and it's like Andrew Garfield. You don't believe it at all.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at Andrew, and he's like, he's a good-looking tall kid, like on a skateboard, and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, like no, you're not a nerd. Nobody believes it. And so he was a terrible Peter Parker, but he was an amazing Spider-Man
He was.
because he was very quippy. He was very like, he made sense of Spider-Man. This Tom Holland kid has nailed both. He's got it. Like he's very believable as Peter Parker. As this kind of like, he's got this like nervous energy about him that I love. Like he's just very kind of like eager almost,
He
like
is.
over eager. And then as Spider-Man, that translates really well because
It did.
like that eagerness goes in that energy.
It does. It does.
So
it definitely does.
I love him. I think he's great, and I'm excited to see him like do more in Infinity War. So what about you? Favorite hero?
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Dude, Iron Man.
It's hard not to like him.
It's hard. Like he's rich. He's got the car. He's got the.
It's
cool
hard not to like
suit.
him. He's rich.
I mean,
What more can you
he's
say?
smart. He's got all these gadgets and gadgets.
Gadgets and gadgets. I love those gadgets.
Kind of remind me of England. I mean, because England loves gadgets and gadgets too.
Do you like gadgets? What's your favorite gadget?
It's like the Little Mermaid. I've got gizmos and gadgets plenty.
Is that how Little Mermaid goes?
Oh
It's
boy!
a beautiful, beautiful movie.
But I want more.
Do you?
We all do.
English. Tell us more about
Yeah,
some gadgets.
English. Tell us.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I love my technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Iron Man loves
so
technology.
I had there's a coworker of mine, or employee of mine named Andrew. Shout out to Andrew. And we've argued about this politely about how he hates Iron Man because he finds him a direct ripoff of. I bet you can guess.
Of England. Of England.
He just knows you. No,
Yeah, no,
no.
Batman?
Iron Man. He considers, huh?
What, Batman?
Yeah, he considers him a direct ripoff of Batman.
No.
Thank you.
Bat-
I
well,
agree.
Batman is rich. Iron Man's rich. Batman was around before
What?
Iron Man, was he not?
Yeah, but Iron Man is cooler than Batman. Batman's like,
Well, no, that's the
What?
thing. Is that in the
What?
comics apparently,
No.
because Andrew is like a big comic dude. He's like,
he's
right.
the one that loves all
He's
the
one of those
comics.
guys. So like
Okay.
he knows all of it, and his thing is that like Iron Man and Batman are almost identical in the comics because like Batman, like, because Bruce Wayne is like this kind of cool guy. He's like this, playboy. He's got all these women, and he's rich. He's got the cars. He's got everything. And at the end of the day, he doesn't have powers, and he uses a suit to be able to be in the ranks of the superheroes. And that's the same as Iron Man, just in a different capacity. And that's kind of his point. And so I get it, but Iron Man's better. Like, I just think he's funnier. He's
He
more
is.
fun. I love Batman. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
yeah,
Batman's
Batman's
great.
good, yeah,
And,
but-
told through the proper lens, Christopher Nolan, I think he's, like, entertaining to watch. I'm sorry, did anybody, that was a cough where I was hiding Christopher Nolan because I believe those are the only good Batman movies. I'm going to get crucified on the first episode. That's bad. But, I mean, he's the only one that's good.
Batman is just so like he's like stiff. He's just like he's got like no
Well-
swag about him. He just like
And that is that's
where
another-
is she? Where's Rachel? Like it's
which is
just
the one negative of the Christopher Nolan movies. So my thing is, that's an interesting point you bring up. Actually, is that like it's interesting to me that Iron Man
He's got
he
swag.
stays Iron Man.
yeah,
Like
he's got
Tony Stark is still Tony Stark. He's just in a
Right.
metal suit. Like
exactly.
he kind of keeps his personality. Whereas Bruce
I mean-
Wayne and Batman are very different entities.
Yes.
Like but it goes to show. I mean, I think DC's just got kind of a fetish for people not knowing who the superhero is,
Yeah.
which is just dumb. I think it's
DC.
just in the modern retelling of these stories, it's almost impossible to keep that because it's just like with social media and like cameras
Mhm.
filming there's no way that anybody's gonna believe that Clark Kent is not Superman. Like, he takes off his glasses, he does his little curly cue, and people go, "Oh, I'm suddenly attracted to him."
I'm Superman.
And then
That's
he
what
and then he
Superman
and then he
does, so,
slicks it back and he puts the glasses back in place, and they go, "Get me my coffee.
Right.
Give it to me. Give me my coffee." And so,
Black.
it's just like black.
No cream, no sugar.
So it's just like I hate that whole like nobody knows who he is, and I love that they kind of killed that in the first Iron Man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the very end of the movie, he's
He's
like,
like,
"Yeah,
I'm Iron Man.
Like, I love that. Just get rid of it now. Throw the
Tell people.
whole.
What's with the
thing out.
secrets? We don't need secrets.
It's just dumb. And so like that's what I like about him too. And like we're gonna have so many comic book fans being like, "That's not in the
Yeah, I know.
in the comics. It's not like that." And I get it. We just said we didn't read the comics. We don't know anything
Yeah,
about the
I don't know
comics.
anything about
In the
comics.
movies though, Iron Man is better.
He is. He's cooler. Sorry.
He is. And that, Robert Downey Jr. just kind of says a lot. Was that it?
It's Iron Man.
So Iron Man's yours. What about you? Who's your favorite hero?
Yeah, English. Tell us.
Let's try to keep it Marvel. Try to keep
Yeah.
it Marvel.
Try to keep
We can
it
do
in
DC another time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have one, to be honest.
Pick one. Gun to your head. You had to pick one.
Come on, man. There's got to be one.
I don't know. I don't like being put on the spot like this.
I mean, this is.
Probably Wonder Woman. That's not.
Well, I
that's
mean, Wonder
DC,
Woman
though.
is pretty awesome.
See?
That's not Marvel.
But
I know, but I know you said to stick with
Who's your
Marvel.
favorite Marvel? It's probably Wonder Woman.
Well,
That
because-
stupid head.
well, because I
He
mean,
would like Wonder
exactly.
Woman.
He
No,
said it.
you look bad, Jeff.
I know. Imagine my card.
He's about to kill you. Oh
I
man,
do not like Wonder Woman.
I think she's cool. I haven't seen the movie though. Is it good? I wanted to
Wonder
see
Woman?
it so bad.
Yeah, you have to see that. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's the one I was
Yeah.
wanting. Like, remember, I was trying to get
Oh.
all of us to go see,
Oh, yeah.
and what's his face was like, I don't want to see it. They probably only say it's good because it's got a girl in it. And I was like,
Oh,
no.
Aquaman.
What?
The last one that just came out. The DC.
Well, no,
one.
I mean, Wonder Woman has her
Yeah, she's got her own movie.
her
Oh,
OG
yeah, oh,
one,
yeah,
and then you
yeah,
got
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And it was like it did
Justice
really
League.
well.
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
94 on Rotten
Yeah,
Tomatoes.
it did do a lot.
Yeah, and so like I mean, and also Gal Gadot's sick actor, and so like I wanted to see it. I still haven't, but also I just have a bad taste in my mouth for DC movies. They just haven't
Yeah,
been
they just they
doing.
don't live up to the expectation.
Yeah,
The high
I mean
expectation.
I haven't liked any of them since Nolan.
Yeah.
So okay, so we have Spider-Man, Iron Man, and
I'm gonna go for Black Panther.
nice,
Oh man,
Excellent.
Wakanda for life.
excellent film by the way. Like
Yeah.
wow, just
And I'm not really gonna-
aggressive with it.
Sorry,
Like,
man. Just it's so
I
passionate.
wonder how bad that sound is. Like this, since this is the first episode, this is a lot of bugs that we're gonna be working out. If that's really loud, you just let me know. We'll kick him off the show.
Yeah, kick
It's
me off
not
the
gonna
show.
be hard to do. We're just in his pool house.
Yeah.
I mean, we can easily do this without him.
You guys could. I mean,
I know.
I think the people don't want me though. I think the people want.
I mean, we all know everybody's here for Terry.
How can he not be? He's a beautiful eagle.
Sure.
All right.
So, all right. So Black Panther, excellent choice. Have you seen the movie?
Of course I have. Yeah.
So good.
It's a great
It's
movie.
literally, I think, they've been doing great this year too. Like Ragnarok was sick. It
Yep.
was like absolutely amazing. Like I didn't really like Thor before that movie.
No.
Thor was boring.
Yeah, Thor was kind of the guy.
Yeah, and so but Ragnarok killed it, and then Black Panther was just like amazing. Like it's genuinely I don't know. It
Well,
was my
he
favorite.
has it all. He has he's a king. He has an army.
Yeah,
he's
but-
rich.
It's just so well written to that movie. Like it was like hats off to Michael B. Jordan. Like that was like genuinely one of the most captivating villains that I think Marvel has had ever. I can't think of one that like felt so
It was.
well. I mean, he was just good. I
Yeah.
loved Killmonger. He was great.
It was.
So excellent choice. But speaking of Thor, let's talk about God of War, the new game.
God of War.
Has anybody else played it? Have you played it?
Nope.
It's so good.
Nope. Thought about it, but I don't got time for it right now.
It's so
So
good. Get it. It's so good.
maybe after
Like-
finals.
Like I don't like building up video games because I think just get it. It's one of the best games I've ever played.
Whoa.
Genuinely, I'm gonna say that. I'll
Maybe
say
you
it.
haven't played a lot of games.
I'll say it. No, it's great. It's so good.
I
Like,
guess we'll find out.
and I've got kind of like a little Norse mythology like geeking happen going on right now. Like I'm like doing a lot of like
Geeky,
Wikipedia.
nerdy stuff.
yeah, it's just interesting. Like it's
Yeah.
I've always liked
It's all
mythology, but I've always usually kind of steered towards Greek mythology. My cat's name is Daphne,
Daphne.
which is not Scooby Doo, which
That's
everybody thinks,
what I was just gonna say.
right? So Daphne is actually a water nymph from I think she was Poseidon's daughter.
Interesting.
And yeah, and so Apollo got hit with Eros, I think his name was. Basically another word for Cupid. He was
Oh.
like the love guy. Got hit with an arrow and he got obsessed with Daphne. So he's chasing her and she's like done with it. So she's like, Dad, do something about this. And he turns her into a laurel tree. And which is not probably what she meant. Like, hey, get this guy off my back. And he's like, all right, tree. And so then he's obsessed with this tree. And so there's actually like beautiful sculptures of this guy who is Apollo, assumably, just kind of draped over this tree, like in longing or whatever. And it's really cool. Anyway, so Daphne, as a nymph, a water nymph, was most associated with Wells,
Interesting.
which is my last name.
Oh yeah, that's right. Wells. Wow.
There it is.
Oh boy.
The connect.
Oh, that was.
So, right. So, but I've always been like into Greek mythology.
I like
And
Greek
so-
food.
That's different.
I just want to throw that
That's
out
not what
there.
we're talking about at all. No,
Okay.
but also Greek food. You're very good.
It is.
So
Love me a nice spinach pie.
I like Greek food. We just ate, man.
I know we did.
Get your head in here.
I'm hungry
So,
again.
yeah, so that I've always been into Greek mythology, but this game has gotten me into a lot of Norse mythology, which is really interesting. And like, I don't know, it's get it if you haven't. Buy a PS4 if you don't have one. Just go get
Yeah,
it
go get it.
fully. I mean, if you
You
don't have
heard
enough
him.
money for it, just sell important things in your life and go buy it anyway. It's really good. So,
Okay.
highly recommend it for PS4 owners.
I got a PS4.
So,
I'll see about it.
it's so good. So yeah, so that's gonna be it for entertainment news. Now we're gonna go into sports with Kiko, the only guy in the room who knows anything about sports.
I mean, you guys know about sports. You know about hockey. You know that they
Don't know anything
skate
about
on an ice rink and
that is the end of my knowledge of hockey.
sportsman.
Yeah. So real quick actually, because we talked about this in our original first episode,
We did.
and I'd like to clear it up for everybody involved. I love sports. I don't understand the players. Because I'm from the South, where again we had college football,
That's
NCAA, and they, every couple of years they're rotating out. They don't, you can't keep up with any of them except for the star people. Like the people every once in a while you get through and they're crazy good. You remember those guys, but for the most part, who is this new guy? I don't care. It's my team. NFL is such a slow rotation that you get to know everybody,
That's true.
and I don't care. Like I was telling him last one, like Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Brad. Wow.
Yeah, he's cringing.
Wow, Brady. Did you call Tom Brady?
Oh man,
Brad.
we're gonna have to edit that out because we're in New England, and I'm pretty sure I see a mob forming out there. That's a lot of pitchforks.
Yeah, it is.
Yikes.
I see
So
some fire,
Tom
too.
Brady, yikes. I don't even know if I should finish the thought. My
Just-
original
just-
thought was gonna be I don't know his number, which is much less incriminating than not knowing his name.
It's good enough.
Yikes.
Jerry. That's say
No,
no
we're
more,
gonna leave it
please.
in. We're gonna leave it in. This is natural, man. This is au natural.
Oh, wow, you just call it, okay. Sports news. Well, there's a lot going on right now in the sports world.
Yes.
We got the baseball season is back.
Okay.
We have the NFL draft coming up.
Okay, and that's when they pick the players.
Yes, when they draft
That's
them
when they
from,
steal them from us.
Yes, that's when they steal from you. Have the NBA playoffs going right now.
Mhm.
Celtics, go Celtics. Big Celtics fan over here.
Terry.
Terry. Hockey. Yeah, I got the hockey playoffs going. I'm not really a huge hockey fan.
I just don't get it. Do you watch hockey? You don't. He doesn't like sports.
He doesn't like sports.
See, like that's we represent like the different because you're full on.
I love sports.
He
man.
doesn't like them at all,
And
and
you
I
like it.
like them and understand the game very much. Like I get the rules for the games I do watch, like the sports I do watch. Like I watch football. Soccer lately has actually kind of been interesting because here's the thing about soccer is it's boring as hell until the last 5 minutes, and then it's the most entertaining thing in the world. It gets very exciting in the last 5 minutes.
I just like when they score a goal and the commentator goes, no, 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 no. It's like everyone's cheering. That's what I remember from soccer when they score a goal. It's, yeah, okay, like,
I don't know what he's talking about.
it's,
Maybe somebody
okay.
knows.
That's what happens when they score a goal.
What I remember actually is what are those things called? Those big horns. But they're really annoying and they're like.
Oh, the Vikings.
No, it's not Viking. It's like a little horn thing. They can be plastic even, and they're really annoying. And they just kind of go off forever, and they're
I
really
have
obnoxious. And like
no
everybody in the audience will have them. Anyway, but soccer.
Oh, Thundersticks.
No,
Oh,
blow into it. Thunder sticks. I get you. No,
I don't know.
I like Greek food.
Oh,
Stop
boy.
it. What? Are you okay? What's happening right
a
now?
hot mess
You remember
right
when I
now.
didn't know how to say Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Now we're even. So,
Fair enough.
Thunderstick. So, soccer is a game that I can kind of get into a little bit. Like, not my favorite. Basketball's fun to watch. I mean, you can't not have fun.
LeBron James.
Baseball, I cannot watch unless I'm there. If I'm there, I'm having a blast because baseball a lot for me is the environment. It's the experience of baseball. If you watch it on TV, I will fall asleep. It is essentially golf. But football, I'm about it. If football is on, I don't even care who's playing. I just like the game. It's fun to
Football's a
me. It's
great
so
game.
fun to watch. It's like, to me, it is the modern Gladiators. It's so fun to watch. But that said, don't know the players
It's okay, man.
or care.
It's okay.
They never will. So,
It's right.
is there anything else? Like,
Nah.
are there any other?
Nah, that's it.
What
man.
about lacrosse? That's one that's interesting to me.
lacrosse?
I don't know anything about lacrosse because we don't have that in the South either.
Lacrosse is a game with sticks and a little ball, and you fling it like this, and then you try to get it to the goal, and you like run around with your stick, and you're like, boop, boop, and goal.
Here's my thing about lacrosse is that just from what I know of physics and how they work, I would be terrible at that game.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like I would not, because there's a toy that you can play with dogs that you can, like, it's like a
Oh,
similar
yeah,
thing, but like you kind of
fetch.
toss it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I tried a lot, and I can't do it. So not
That's
not
it
the
for
game
lacrosse for me. I just,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The one thing I know about lacrosse is on The Office when Jim has one when he's in the snowball fight with Dwight, and he like spin it,
Yeah,
and then he like tosses it and it breaks a window. That's my extent of lacrosse knowledge. Don't know. It might as well be cricket, which is a British game.
Polo is, I think. Penguins.
I think we're just
right?
making up sports
I
at this
think
point.
we are.
What about bloofball? You ever played bloofball? I was a star player back in high school.
What about Marco Polo? You
I
ever
had a
played that?
future. What?
Marco Polo.
That's not a sport.
Yeah, it is.
That's a pool game.
It's a great pool
What are you
game.
doing, man? Moving on.
All right. Next
So
subject.
our next things we're going to talk about is, well, first of all, the fact that our segment ideas are gone. That's it. That's all we have. So, a little idea we had was to Google podcast segment ideas, and that brought us to this website here. And we're going to source it in the description so that we don't get sued. Cool.
We will.
So we're just gonna go down this list and see which ones apply, and if they apply, we will apply them.
Yeah. Let's do that.
So, number 1, live guest call. So we're gonna definitely incorporate that at some
We
point.
will.
I want there to be a call involved. I think calls are cool. They're intimate. They are also easier to control. You can, like, as opposed to, like, mass comments and stuff like that. It's very hard to delineate and pick who you're going to respond to. A call.
Should they call us on the hotline bling?
What's wrong with you?
Just saying. You know.
That's an outdated reference. What year is it?
Hotline bling? That was like 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Called you on my cell phone. Ooh. Okay. Next
And
one.
there's the Drake lawsuit. So we're going to have that in the future. Number 2 is a random fact, and this is one that I had already read for the first episode, which is interesting to me, is that in golf, apparently they used to have birds playing for awkward silences, because, like, if it got too long or it was just quiet, it was just kind of like almost eerie.
Right.
So they would, like, actually in post, they would put bird sounds in, and that lasted for a while until some dude, partier that he is, called in and was like, I know my birds, and those birds are not indigenous to Louisville, Kentucky, so those are
darn
fake birds.
That man.
And apparently, like, he wasn't crazy. Those were fake birds, and so the CBS started getting, like,
Really?
hailed with all these questions, like, what's going on with these birds?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my god, because, like, how embarrassing is it to have to answer that kind of question? Like, are these really fake birds? Can we talk about golf instead?
Golf is a
No.
boring sport to watch, so they
And-
definitely need bird sounds.
That's very true. I mean, like, so I think a good idea. Let's implement this as well. We're gonna add bird sounds whenever it gets a little too quiet in here.
That's why we got Terry. Terry, right? Terry?
I love those birds. So then we got recent review. This is when your listeners know what others think about your podcast. So this is when we would read what you guys have to say about us, which is hard to do when nobody's seen us yet.
It is very hard to do.
So but we may incorporate that in the future. Not
All
yet.
the time. We'll get there.
All in good time. So then we're going to go on to tech news. Is technology relevant to your podcast? It's not. It's not, but we do like to talk about whatever. So we might talk about tech eventually. We might even incorporate that into the good news. You know, if tech is, you know, like leading the industry in some kind of like cancer, you know, research or whatever, we might bring that up. But for the most part, I don't know anything about technology. So that's going to be English's thing. He might be able to tell us some cool gadgets for the future. And
Wow.
yeah. So next up is going to be a Q&A. Get your listeners to send in any questions they may have and answer one or two questions randomly selected. So this is a good one as well, and I want to incorporate that as well. So like things that you guys might have to ask, like where did we get our name from? This is a good one to answer right now. So we got our name, no answers yet. When we were kind of brainstorming what our name would be, and that like maybe 2 or 3 meetings, we actually were like literally we had set to just figure out what our name was. And it took us a while.
Good month and a half, I think. To figure
It wasn't
out
a month and a half. It was a minute. It was like probably a month. And so we actually there's a website called I don't know how to pronounce it. Quora, QUORA.com, which we'll source in the description as well. And we apparently their blank slate, like template, if there's no responses on a question yet, is to say no answers yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually Googled what is a good podcast name, which by the way is a bad idea because they're all crap, except for this one when you look kind of like outside of the box. And so we Googled what's a good podcast name, found this Quora question where somebody had asked that before, clicked it, and just a big old no answers yet gray screen that popped up. And we were like, that's it.
We all looked at each other and we were like, wow.
That's it. So, because I mean, that's one of the big things with us is that like we all have different beliefs and perspectives and, you know, ideas. And, but at the end of the day, like nobody really knows yet, which is kind of a cool idea. And so it works on multiple different levels. So that's our name. So any other questions that you might have akin to that, where you want to know what they are, you can send them to us and we'll read them on the show. So thanks to this website so far for giving us at least 2 the bird noises in the Q&A. Another minute for the birds. Thank you, CBS. And inspirational quotes. Who doesn't love a good inspirational or motivational quote? This is an awesome way to close your show. We're not going to close yet. Avoid sharing your thoughts on the quote. Just give it to them and leave your listeners to their own thoughts. Now, this is an important thing because last time he shared his quote, he gave his thoughts. And we're going to ask him not to do that this time because he's very influential. We don't want you guys being coerced.
You know?
All right, hit us with this quote.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is gonna be pretty deep.
This is a different quote than last time?
This is different.
Oh,
right?
oh.
You guys
I
better
used the
be ready
same
for this.
random fact as last time. So
Okay,
this
ready?
is new to me.
The struggle is the glory. I'll leave it at that.
Who said that?
Don't worry about who said that.
Why do you do that every time? You said that then. It's
Maybe
hard
I
for us to
did.
believe that you
Maybe I
didn't
did
say
not. I don't know.
That. Who?
What's that?
Yeah, give him credit.
It's from a movie. I'm serious.
Is it from Rocky?
No, it's not from Rocky.
Is it Rocky 4? who?
It is from a
Cite
movie. It is from The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer. It was about these 2 lions in Africa. I'm dead serious that they were like possessed by the ghosts and they were killing. It's a movie. Yes, it's for real. And one of the actors in it said that the struggle is the glory. You can look it up.
I don't.
Kiko Fresh don't lie.
I don't disbelieve you.
It's just that look, that face. Just,
It's not
says
Rocky
more.
4.
It's not Rocky 5.
Next up is super tool number
That's
7.
me.
Good joke. Any tool in your niche that you think is super and which your listeners might not have heard of yet, let them know about it. Share tools, ideas, and use case scenarios. So our tools that we're pretty fond of so far are these lights.
Yes.
If you would like some lights to look beautiful,
To light up your world.
to light up your life, and it's lit in here.
It's lit.
Do you get that joke? If you want that, you can click the Amazon link below, where we're gonna also source these lights. We love giving English extra work to do. I've never seen eyes roll that hard.
Wow.
So next up is time travel This particular segment idea is good for those who have had many episodes already in the past. We're going to skip that one.
Yeah, we
Number 9, social media fun. Get a hashtag started and then read it out. And I can't read the rest of it because English is not doing his scrolling.
Oh, there he is.
Come on, man.
You see me scrolling.
That's
say hey.
Not terrible, actually.
Oh, sorry.
So, this is a good and fun way to interact with your listeners. So let's start a hashtag.
Hashtag love.
I feel like that's really. Let's do like no answers. Let's just do no
Hashtag
answers.
no
There.
answers. Yeah, I like it.
No
Let's
answers
do
yet.
it.
So, if you want to, be on board with this, see how many listeners we have that not only are listening but are participators
And who cares?
and who care. Mom, this is a good time to hashtag it out.
Yeah, hashtag.
We're gonna have maybe 2, and it's gonna be us, which will probably be English not doing it,
Probably not.
participating,
Yeah, he won't. He won't.
be part of it. Number 10 is book reviews / recommendations. So, many podcast listeners are heavy book readers. I have a confession.
Tell us.
I do not read very much anymore. I used to when I was younger, and then video games and movies and television and life
Just.
started
Getting in
getting
the
more
way.
interesting. Oh yeah, no, getting in the way. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
too busy to.
Yeah, you're just too busy. Yeah.
Way too busy. So the last book I read, good lord, what was it?
Harry Potter.
It wasn't the last book I read, but that's insulting. Thank you. No, but that would probably be my recommendation. Is the Harry Potter series. Do it. Read them. It's good. The last book I read, I don't even know. Oh, that's embarrassing. I don't know. What about you?
Probably The Lion King to my little daughter.
There's a Lion King book?
Yeah, little stories. The Lion King. And
Oh,
pictures
no.
too.
I mean, like, oh, God, a picture book based on the movie.
But it's a picture book and it says what's
What,
happening.
like, book that you read?
Oh,
Like, what's a book? Like a book.
look, I think it was the Heart of Leadership.
That's
I believe that was the last book I read.
terrible. That's a little bit of an inside joke. I wish that I could let you in on that.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's not a good read. Anyway, what about you, English? The last book you read? And if it's that one, please don't say it.
Ooh.
I honestly don't even know the last book I read.
I don't either.
It was probably one of those leadership books, though.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
probably mine too. Honestly,
I mean, I do audiobooks.
yeah, 'cause that's an
So-
easy way to kind of get.
I drive a
through,
lot, so I do
Yeah,
those when I drive. So.
yeah. I don't know.
It's okay.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
it's political, but Fire and Fury. It's the what's his name?
Wolfgang Pup.
No. So I think that's the last one I read, and it was like I got maybe halfway through it because I'm just not good at reading anymore.
It's okay. It's so good.
So that's it for the top 10 ideas. We'll keep some of those, and the other ones we will not use
We will
because
throw him out the window.
as dramatically as that.
Yeah.
So as our outro, we pitched a few things among the team here. We're brainstorming ideas for what our outro was going to be. One of the original ideas that I had was doing a song of the day. We quickly learned that the way fair use and copyright works is the few amount of dollars we have now, we would have even fewer
Wow.
if we did that.
That doesn't sound good at
No,
all.
it doesn't.
No, it does
lot
not.
of lawsuits, probably. So we're just gonna not do that. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna in the description below have a link to the YouTube video of the song of the day. Today's is gonna be "High Five" by Sigrid, who is an up and coming Norwegian pop star. She's phenomenal. She's really, really good. She's got a few hits out. She's got like mostly singles. I don't know if she's released a full album yet, but she's really, really good. Reminds me a lot of Astrid S, if you've heard of her. So that's gonna be our song of the day, "High Five" by Sigrid. Go check it out. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks so much for joining us on
Thanks
our
for
first
listening.
episode.
Thanks for caring.
Yeah, seriously. We're glad that we finally got this done a second time. And we hope you enjoyed it. We're going to release this tomorrow, so Friday the 27th.
27th.
27th, and hopefully we'll be able to come back. I think honestly, if we release tomorrow, we're like I said from the beginning, we want to release on a consistent schedule, so you guys know you can come to us, and we'll have content for you. So if we release tomorrow, God willing, then we will release next Friday as well.
Yep.
The next episode, not just the same episode twice.
No. They don't want to hear us.
Don't
twice
put that
do the
past
same
us
thing.
though, because we will try to pull some stuff like that. So yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This is No Answers Yet. My name's Trey,
Kiko.
and English in the back there, and we'll see you next week.